Greetings, everybody. Gleekon here again with another episode of Lore of Warcraft. We are continuing, just finding out the aftermath of the first Great War. On the last one, we just kind of talked about what Orgrim was doing, how he was going to kind of consolidate himself up a little bit. Now that he's officially won the first war, he's not pleased because he realizes there is a rotten core that is currently making up the Horde. So first thing he did was sweep out the Shadow Council. He kept a couple of its lieutenants, notably Chokal and Garona, for various reasons and with various levels of trust. He assaulted the Warlock seat of power, Blackrock Spire, swept them out, essentially banishing fell magic from the Horde, and made Blackrock Spire his own seat of power. So stay a while and listen to this one. It's called the Demon Soul. We last left on an ellipses talking about the power that Chokal was going to get. Oh, he also learned that in Draenor he's going to be having little to no backup coming in because the orcs that are still there are like loco now. All right. Throughout the First War, Azeroth's mighty dragons were largely absent from the conflict. For many ages, these majestic creatures had protected the world under the guidance of the 5 dragon aspects: Alexstrasza, Neltharion, Nosdormu, Ysera, and Malygos. Yet they were no longer capable of safeguarding the world. They were still reeling from a betrayal millennia old, and we have read about that extensively. Alexstrasza is trying to put things back together. She's the leader. Neltharion is evil now and forever will be. He's Deathwing now. He's also reeling from a vicious defeat. Nosdormu has been battling agents of time that are trying to tear it apart. So while he is here and is present and his flight is there and present, he's constantly dealing with issues that are beyond our ken. Ysera is there, but she's also spending a lot of time in the Emerald Dream, so she's kind of like an absent ruler. And Malygos is crazy. He's gone crazy because the Blue Dragonflight was decimated, and it was all his fault because he trusted Neltharion. 10,000 years ago, during the War of the Ancients, the Aspects had joined the fight against the Burning Legion. Alexstrasza, Nosdormu, Ysera, and Malygos had willingly sacrificed a portion of their essence into a singular artifact that would channel their fury together. This weapon was known as the Dragon Soul, and it would be capable of annihilating Azeroth's demonic enemies. Only Neltharion did not infuse the artifact with his power. He had crafted the weapon and presented it to his allies. On the surface, his intentions seemed pure, yet in truth, they were anything but noble. Unbeknownst to the other aspects, Neltharion had fallen under the influence of the old gods. After the other aspects empowered the Dragon Soul, Neltharion wielded the artifact in battle. He destroyed scores of demons with the weapon, but he was not content to focus his wrath solely on the Legion. Neltharion also turned the Dragon Soul against his friends and allies. This shocking betrayal broke the unity of dragonkind, and it earned Neltharion a new name, Deathwing. The other dragon aspects eventually recovered the artifact from their brother. They were troubled to find that they could not destroy or reclaim the power they had infused into the weapon. The aspects had little choice but to hide the Dragon Soul in a place where no one would think to look, a remote corner of the world that would become known as the Red Ridge Mountains. Enchantments were also placed upon the artifact, preventing Deathwing or any other dragon from ever touching it. I think in Cataclysm, if you start to do, I don't know if it's Badlands, Burning Steps, or whatever, there's a lot of dragon presence in that area. Not Red Ridge itself, but right nearby. In the millennia that followed, the weakened dragon aspects largely retreated from the world. I think in our next expansion, we might find out more. Deathwing's betrayal had changed them forever. The bronze dragon aspect Nosdormu occupied himself with the ancient task of safeguarding the past, present, and future. He rarely emerged from the swirling timeways. The green aspect, Ysera, spent much of her time monitoring the health of Azeroth's wilds from the Emerald Dream. The blue dragon aspect, Malagos, had lost himself to madness due to Deathwing's actions, and he secluded himself in his lair, the Nexus. Although his dragon flight did help out Aegwynn defeat the Avatar of Sargeras, the red dragon aspect, Alexstrasza, did intervene in the activities of the world's mortal races, but only rarely. She also kept watch for any sign of Deathwing. After the War of the Ancients, Deathwing had disappeared and settled into a deep slumber. The dragon soul had been too much for even the corrupted dragon aspect to wield in battle, and the artifact's power had nearly destroyed him. He had been forced to attach metal plates to his spine to keep his fiery body from tearing apart. Deathwing needed time to recover from his wounds and regain his strength. During his long slumber, the other dragonflights hunted his corrupted children to the brink of extinction. That was well said, better than I said it. The incredible amount of magic that was used to open the dark portal finally roused Deathwing. He watched with a fascination as Stormwind and the Horde fought, and he became convinced that the orcs might be the means by which he could restore his wounded black dragonflight to its full glory. Deathwing knew that more than just the other dragon aspects would oppose him if he ever came out of hiding. Many of the mortal races would as well. If the Horde could break Azeroth's kingdoms, eliminating some of the strongest cultures in the world, it would allow Deathwing to devote his full attention to fending off his fellow aspects. During the First War, Deathwing's old god masters had urged him to take small steps to aid the orcs. Nothing too drastic, of course, for he did not want to attract the attention of the other dragonflights. Yet the old god saw Deathwing's intervention as a way to engulf the world in chaos. The first thing he had done was to take on the guise of a human noble from Stormwind. He had visited Lordaeron and charmed the aristocracy with gossip. When stories of the Horde's invasion finally reached their kingdom, Deathwing openly scoffed at them. He told Lordaeron's upper society that the tales were fabrications meant to hide growing problems with human rebels. His lies were far more believable than the desperate pleas for help from Stormwind. So there you go. That's that mystery noble that they hinted at a few parts ago in Chronicles. So Deathwing is one of the main reasons why the humans lost the First War, because he persuaded the potential allies to not help them. To win over those who stubbornly believed the reports from Stormwind, Deathwing turned to his sorceress abilities. He subtly influenced the minds of Lordaeron's nobles, preventing them from taking any action against the Horde. Once he was certain that Lordaeron would send no aid against the Horde, Deathwing had moved south. Taking on the form of a Black Rock orc, he had examined the orc society from the inside, living as one of them for months. It had been easy for him to sense the hidden power driving the Horde's actions, and before long, he had maneuvered himself into the good graces of various individuals. Gul'dan believed he was a loyal follower. Blackhand believed he was a proud Blackrock orc. Even Orgrim Doomhammer believed he was a stalwart ally. In the end, Warchief Blackhand had fallen to Orgrim, but that was not an issue. The Shadow Council served the Legion, and Deathwing served the Old Gods. Shattering the Legion's hold on the orcs only made them more vulnerable to his masters. Yeah, so he's okay with these little things that have been happening. There remained only one problem. The Horde had been weakened by the First War. If the rest of the human kingdoms were to unite, the orcs would not have the means to destroy them. Even if they could, they would surely awaken too many enemies. If the other dragon aspects became aware of the threat the Horde posed, the orcs would not stand a chance. Yet the dragon soul was still out there. Because it contained power from all of the aspects except for Deathwing, it could be used against them for the purpose of either destruction or control. No dragon could wield the artifact, but the orcs could. They would make very convenient allies. Deathwing granted visions to one of the clan chieftains. He had learned much about the Horde and its ways, and he believed that Zulahed, leader of the Dragon Maw, would be most receptive. Zulahed was bombarded with vivid dreams of his clan taming and riding strange, powerful winged creatures. In the human tongue, these beasts were called dragons. It was an intoxicating sight. The heritage of the Dragon Maw had been to tame Rylax on Draenor to make them Nelghor, loyal beasts. To once again soar in the sky was an idea that could not be resisted. If properly tamed and broken, these dragons would make excellent Nalgor, which this explains why it doesn't happen very fast, but why eventually in Warcraft 2 you do have dragons to ride. Once the hook was set, Deathwing coaxed Zulahead to the Red Ridge Mountains, and I'm not sure if I don't recognize that name, but it could be something for us to keep an eye on. Hidden deep beneath the mountains, protected by wards and guarded by a red dragon named Orostraz, was a featureless gold disc. This was the dragon soul, untouched since it was buried millennia ago. Zulahead and his clan immediately fell upon Orostraz. They had never faced a red dragon in battle before. Over a dozen orcs perished in the fight, but they succeeded in killing the guardian. Zulahead then ordered his clan's greatest warlock, Necros Skull Crusher, to recover the artifact. The orc shattered the relic's defenses. He sensed faint fell energies on it, a remnant of its use in the War of the Ancients, and he renamed it the Demon Soul. Far from the Red Ridge Mountains, Alexstrasza sensed the breaking of the artifact's wards. When she heard no word from the relic's guardian, she grew concerned. Alexstrasza took several of her red dragons and hurried south. They believed that some foolish mortal had somehow stolen the artifact and that Orostraz was in the midst of trying to hunt it. They thought it would be easy to help him retrieve it. In truth, they were flying into Deathwing's trap. Yes, they are. So, at this point in time, it sounds like the green dragons are going to stay navel gazing in the Emerald Dream. Dormu, much the same, although they've got a major, awesome responsibility guarding the entire timeline. That's what they're doing. And the red, we know they're going to be enslaved by the orcs, and the blacks are basically extinct because of their role. Let's find out about the blues here. The blue dragonflight. During the War of the Ancients, Deathwing's betrayal had killed nearly every blue dragon in existence. The entire flight would have gone extinct if not for the actions of Alexstrasza and her dragons, and Krasis. They gathered the remaining blue dragon eggs and did what they could to hatch and raise new whelps. For a time, some of Alexstrasza's followers also safeguarded magical artifacts and places of power on Azeroth. The task was normally reserved for blue dragons, but with the flight in disarray, there was no one else left to fulfill their ancient duties. So also the red dragons are stretched thin because they are also the caretakers of magic now, temporarily, and raising all these baby blues. Okay. So this doesn't really tell us much. We know that the Horde has the demon soul now. We know where it's gonna lead. It's ultimately gonna result in them having the power, at least temporarily, to tame, ride, and wield dragons as weapons. But there's still some gaps to fill in there, some dots to connect. So we'll have a little bit more. We're going to find out what the humans were doing, and then we'll kind of start some of our novel studies. Okay, another episode in the Pipes 5x5. Thank you so much for listening. I can't wait to see you on the next episode of Lore of Warcraft.